All right, we're back with Marissa and Will. We got a pretty interesting development here with Elizabeth Warren. Basically, New York Times and The Atlantic both reporting that she is making a lot of inroads with the Democratic establishment. She's basically making a couple of pledges, and behind closed doors to Democratic donors in particular, she's making the pitch that she will be the one in order to push progressive change, but with their help. One of the most interesting things I saw from them, Will, was that she was basically pledging not to create an outside organizing for action type organization like Obama did with Obama for America. That really pissed off the DNC because they saw it as basically outsourcing much of the energy of the Obama coalition from the National Party. As somebody who's been involved with this for a long time, do you think that this is going to work?
Well, I think that's a good move. I do not think, as much as I'm an OFA, that was not the best strategy at the time. The party needed to be rebuilt, and Obama had the ability to do that.
And a lot of that energy, I mean, his energy behind that campaign was incredible. A lot of it was squandered.
I agree. I think it kind of diffused out, and it's still...
And the RNC really capitalized on it. I mean, they got the best data operation that exists now. But I mean, I think from a political standpoint with the electorate, is the electorate going to tolerate an Elizabeth Warren progressive candidate cozying up to the Democratic establishment?
Well, look, I think she is very smart in that she has very progressive, bold plans, and she doesn't walk away from those, but she's able to, unlike Senator Sanders, she's able to not be so angry in delivering those plans, and I think that comes across. And also, if you think about the history of Elizabeth Warren, and I remember this when we were coming on the Obama administration, we were talking about this in the break. We were happy, we won, we were coming in. Elizabeth Warren was leading the charge on consumer regulatory reform. She was everyone in the Democratic Party liked that she was doing that, or for the most part, at that point. And I think she has a long history of standing up for working people, and Democrats want to win.
Yeah,
Democrats want to win.
But here's the thing. As Sagar was pointing out, people are angry. There's a lot to be angry about, you know? And so to me, I look at her base of support, Elizabeth Warren's base of support, and it's the least diverse, it's the most upscale, grad degree holding, right? And basically she doesn't offend their sensibilities. And she says, I'm not going to rock the boat too much.
She speaks their language. She's one of them.
She does. I think it was Naomi Klein said she's identity politics for journalists.
Yeah.
Because they see themselves reflected in her so much. And it's like
she's
that
much
with
smarter than that,
affluent.
to be clear.
Yeah, but that's what they aspire to be, right?
Yeah, right?
I mean, and so it's like that with affluent white liberals. And so her going to the Democratic Party establishment and them embracing her, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me because she's going to work within the system. She's not looking for revolution. Right. She just wants to work within the existing power structures, and for some people that's a plus, for others not so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do respect Elizabeth Warren as a campaigner. Her upset against Scott Brown in Massachusetts, that was the most expensive Senate race that cycle.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she does, have a couple of flukes. Her claim her claim to Native Americanism, that was a big mistake. And then having to backtrack on that, people still remember those.
So one thing I'll say here,
apologized.
She very much reminds me kind of Ted Cruz. So the establishment hated Ted Cruz, but whenever it was Ted Cruz versus Trump, they're like, all right, Ted, let's go.
All in. Yeah.
But the thing is that's interesting about this is, and this is why I might disagree with you, Will, is ultimately the establishment hated Trump. Even after he was the nominee, they basically wanted to strip him of the nomination. After Access Hollywood, they literally tried to kick him out. But ultimately, they bowed. And so if Bernie won the nomination, Tom Perez and all these people, they're going to have to get on their knees and bow, because then the fate of the party is hooked.
I agree.
Right?
I think Democrats are united on one thing. Whoever the nominee is, we're going to get behind that person. I don't think we're going to see the Bernie bros or all that happen this time, and I think that's a good thing. But Crystal, you said, I think on Elizabeth Warren, I mean, the wealth tax, that's pretty bold. That's kind of a revolutionary thing.
But here's the thing. It's not that the ideas aren't bold. It's are you really going to do what it takes to get them done?
Well,
and so when your support comes from the elites, are you really going to do a wealth tax? Are you really going to break up big tech when those are the people that are backing you? Are you really going to go hard after Wall Street? I mean, you know how politics works.
Yeah.
People know where their bread is buttered.
No, fair
Google
question.
basically owned Obama.
I actually
She's saying those things, and I think you also see a little uptick in black women with her too, which is interesting.
Slight though.
It's not. But again, let her win Iowa.
Yeah.
In I think things change in South Carolina.
You know what's funny? You bring up Obama, and I hear this from a lot of Sanders supporters. They see Warren as a sort of Obama. Says the right things, right? Inspires people, crowds, people get excited about her, has this, his first excitement was with the same affluent white liberal crowd, right? Yeah. But when he got into office, it was the same structures. It was bringing in Goldman Sachs. It was, a very similar, it was a continuation, honestly, of the Clinton model. And they worry with her, Marissa, that it's kind of a similar dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like we said, Elizabeth Warren is a great campaigner. She does, this great job with identity politics, and she gives you kind of the answers that you're looking for. Is she going to be, the new wave of liberalism? I highly doubt it. But at the end of the day, she's slowly gaining traction, as is Bernie. My bet is still on Biden, but we've obviously seen him have a ton of hiccups, including this weekend, mistaking New Hampshire for Vermont, which is absolutely out.
What do you think of that Obama comparison?
Yeah, I don't think it's. I understand why you would make it. I don't think it's exactly right because again, you're talking about Warren, who was a consumer watchdog, Harvard,
Obama
coming
Community
out.
Act organizer.
No. And look, I love the president. I love the president.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that she's talking about fighting for the middle class and the unfair tax advantages. She's just doing it in a slightly less angry way.
Yeah, that's not how it gets done.
I get. Well, it depends on what you do when you get in there. And there's one thing. She's trying to do this middle line, which is hard to do, of like, I'm reasonable, but I have a point of view that's very progressive. Because she's certainly not where Kamala Harris is or Booker or other people are in the ideological spectrum.
They're selling out her cups in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? I mean, I'm serious. What does that tell you about how comfortable they are?
I'm sensitive to that because I think our goal is to appeal to everybody, but stay true to who we are.
Yeah, but
and I think she's trying to do that. You can't judge her on what she will do. What has she pushed in the Senate? She's
but there's
pushed
a reason
things.
they're so comfortable with her.
And there's look.
True. Might be their problem, not hers, though.
How is she going to get this done if the only people on the bench to hire worked at Goldman and Treasury? Let's think about it. There had been a Goldman person in an administration
that's a big problem.
for the last
I agree
3 administrations. It's a bipartisan thing.
With you on that.
Gary Cohn, Henry Paulson, whoever worked for Obama. Larry Summers. I mean, look at this system. If she's beholden to this system, it's never going to happen. Wealth tax. Forget about it. I watched this happen with Trump, which is Trump made all these promises, then he brought in all the guys who he basically fought against, and they're much better at bureaucracy than he is. And they killed it, and it's gone. And now all we've got is a tax cut for a bunch of corporations instead of immigration reform or any other things that people actually voted for. That's what Elizabeth Warren seems to be telling us if she's telling, I'm going to work with you and the establishment.
You have to be careful about saying, well, hey, all the rich elites are supporting her. That means she's not going to do anything.
I think that's true.
I think you have to take her statements. I think you have to take what she said, what she's done in the Senate, and you have to take her record. I don't think it's fair to just say that because she's saying what she wants to do.
But Obama's team of rivals thing, it didn't work. It was a total failure.
Well, she's not saying
but that's the other thing, Will. I do look
Tech hates Elizabeth Warren.
I do look at her record and I look at what she says, and she says, I'm a capitalist, right, to my bones, I think she says, which is about I'm committed to this system. Her programs that she's laid out, her plans are bold, but they're often means tested. They're not universal. So there are differences here. And anyway, I think there's a reason why people who have power now are comfortable with Warren.
I think so too.
Because they know she's not going to rock the boat too much. She's going to give enough change to keep the pitchforks at bay, which is good. I will take. Listen, Elizabeth Warren is so much better than almost anyone else in the field, right? But that's the big difference.
Yeah. But the question is, who can actually get something done? And having been inside government, the pitchforks are great, but okay. Once the revolution happens, what are you going to do? And I think that's sometimes the concern with Bernie.
That's a fair one, and I've talked about it. I've said that exact concern here many times, but we can't solve it today.
It's the only way real change happens.
Look, I'm all for it.
Thanks to you.
Organized revolution.
Conversation.
Thanks,
Thank you. Tomorrow on Rising, we're going to talk to Reverend William Barber of the Poor People's Campaign. He wants Democrats to talk more about poverty.
And the former chief economic advisor to Joe Biden, Jared Bernstein, will talk about the odds that there will be a recession.
Good show.
And Team Rising is going to be here as always. Make sure you hit subscribe, and we're going to see you guys tomorrow.
Click the bell. Have a great day, guys.